We talk today about second screens, not that screen, not this screen, that screen. Um,
All the screens.
all the screens, super screens. If you don't know what a second screen is, originally it was something else, but we'll talk about what it is now. Second screening is essentially having a second screen, either your phone, another laptop, another actual screen, a TV, or anything like that, and having another piece of content on it. So, or it doesn't even have to be content. It could be a website. It can be anything else. So you're watching TV, and then you have another screen that has some other thing. It's social media, more content, reading a book, anything like that.
Yeah, marketeers came up with this a while back, this idea of second screening, so that while you're watching the TV show, you could have your iPad or your laptop or your phone out, and you can be interacting away with. It really took off massively when people started live tweeting things they were watching. Um, but Paul, second screening has grown since then to mean multi-screening, really, because the original meaning of second screening was all about the same content, so that you were watching one piece of content and then interacting with some other part around it, right? And now it's just grown to mean people are looking at multiple screens at once and they may not have content that have anything to do with each other on them.
Yeah. So originally, these kind of things were like kind of meant for companion applications or stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like the Big Brother application is essentially designed so that when you're watching Big Brother, you get more information, or you while the show is on, before you kind of like, not when the show is on, but while they're still filming, you might get an alert about, something going on in the house or something like that. Some kind of piece of information that will like, get you up to speed even faster than everybody else. Um there was also ones like which goes sorry, let me just the another of these kind of things was the form, like, sports applications where Formula One, rugby, American football all had like secondary applications and stuff, just to kind of keep you in the know about what was going on and stuff. And then with Formula One, it gives you different camera angles and stuff like that as the races and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
This is what
Like
second, but you still have your main screen up watching a race or watching a piece of content, and you had the secondary thing to give you more content of the thing you're watching. Nowadays, though, that has changed. It has changed a lot.
yeah, and Paul, can we, for the duration of the rest of this, kind of just let sports be sports, if you know what I mean? Because I think second screening in those sports apps, like in Formula One or motorsport, having the live timing, so you could be watching something, but also see all the timing, or, if you get really nerdy about it, getting kind of cool throttle tracing and all that kind of stuff. Same thing if you're watching football or any live sporting event, that's where the original meaning of second screening still exists and
Yes.
still makes sense. I'm glad that it never really took off. There was a company trying to sell second screening way back that when you're watching a TV show, we'll tell you what handbag the person on screen is wearing so you can go and buy it. Those sorts of things thankfully didn't take off because they were evil to begin with. But I think where you're about to take us, Paul, is just as troubling, maybe slightly less evil.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I do want to point out that the sports one is just an example of second screening done right. Essentially, it's a companion, to the piece of content that you're actually looking at. Second screening now is essentially just having multiple screens open with multiple different pieces of content. But specifically, second screening that we're talking about is when you have a TV show or a movie on your second screen while you're focusing on your first. This is one where you're half paying attention or anything like that. Not really kind of keeping up to speed. This came out, which I think explains it really well. There's a clip by Richard Osman on his podcast with I think her name is Mary Lisa, something like that. Um, they're both producers. That's where Richard Osman kind of started his whole thing. I'm going to
Yeah.
play a little bit of the clip, so you get a bit of understanding of where we're kind of going with this.
So many showrunners were given notes by the streaming channels that they say this isn't second screen enough.
Mm.
And what they mean is the viewer is expected to be on their phone, kind of half doing something else while your crime drama or whatever is playing. And you just can't make it as complicated as you have, because they're not going to understand it, because they're only going to be half concentrating on your show. I mean, when you think how much it costs to make one of these things, and what you're saying is, yeah, you're sort of competing with someone's social media account, and they're going to have half an ear and half an eye on you. They're going to watch you with subtitles. And
That's essentially the gist of it, is that like streaming services are now, having people create TV shows, and then also saying that, it's not second screen enough. You're competing with essentially another screen for a user, which I think is a bit harsh, kind of thing. But it's hard for a creator, kind of thing.
I think harsh is the politest way you could ever have put that.
Oh,
I think it's truly fucking awful. But yeah, it is definitely anti-artistic creative spirit to say, hey, plan for people to ignore this. It's just insane.
yeah. So the issue is essentially that the we're talking about is it's not that it's essentially that this is dumbing down TV. Essentially, it's essentially taking shortcuts and little things away from the creator's kind of toolkit to express what their plot or story point is going to be. Like it, it's almost trying to make it like taking the book, and I don't want to downplay anyone who's working in the kind of the kids animation or kids kind of like TV show kind of or to movie industry. It's essentially taking a book or a page out of the children's TV show or movie kind of thing, where they repeat the plot over and over again because you're not watching, And the problem is that fills up time that you could be using to expand on the plot, to have more kind of characteristics, more feeling and emotion within your story. But you can't have that when you're like, okay, 5 minutes ago we just explained the main plot. We now need to do it again because everybody has kind of stopped watching again, and we need to get them on board or something. Or we need to put in an explosion to get people back on board. It's not good.
No, well, it's extremely corrosive to the creative process, but also just to the production process of saying, okay, well, you have to make sure not only you're repeating plot points, but at inception, are people writing things now and being told that's going to get quite complex there? And the person be like, I know, cool, we've just gone inception here. This is great. We're going deep. And I'm like, no. Too complex for somebody who's only 70% paying attention to catch all of the nuance. Okay, well, we'll literally dumb it down a little bit. And that could kill what would have been something great and turn it into something that is truly terrible or mediocre. And worse than that, you're on set one day and somebody walks in and goes, hang on, they have brown hair and they have brown hair. And they're both wearing white jackets. We know they look completely different as people, but in here, can we maybe change wardrobe or change actor or something? Because people who are like glancing at their phone to check, how many Instagram followers they've picked up since they started watching this TV show, are we? Is it out of the realms of possibility that stupid stuff like that is happening? I don't think so, because to hear them thinking to that level, to hear the idea that that's on anybody's radar, means that any level of arsery is possible. Any level of stupidity is possible.
Yeah, it definitely means that continuity person is now got a whole different level of stuff that they have to kind of keep a watch on. It's just like, we can't move anything around too much because like we need people to kind of be able to glance at the second screen and then kind of come back. Like that's the problem, and it's just a weird thing to have nowadays, that it's essentially awful. That we're just having this weird kind of it means that when you're watching a movie or watching a TV show, it's always in the back of your mind now, especially because these are specifically from streaming platforms. But now you got a whole thing about like, now you have to watch it and just be like, is the potential thing that we keep going on about ruined by this fact?
Yeah.
Do we constantly watch movies and TVs where just like there's potential here that's gone, and it's suddenly because some producer or someone in the studio suddenly walked in and was just like, yeah, you have to repeat that 10 times, kind of thing.
Well, people got to stop giving out to streamers, or continue to give out to streamers, saying that, oh, even their movies, or a lot of the shows are becoming very generic, and it seems like they're made to a price, and they're all becoming kind of samey. Well, yeah, if you're trying to, and it's not teaching to the slowest kid. This isn't about anybody's intelligence. This is one of those things of, if you're making an assumption that a portion of your audience, a decent portion of your audience, just aren't paying attention, so you have to loop around or keep things simple or make things obvious or shout things out, or, like you say, have an action beat to get their attention back, or make sure just before you give them an important piece of information, that's going to mess every part of the process up. It's going to lead, weirdly, to the big complaint people have about streaming content. Oh, Red Notice wasn't very good. It felt very generic. It's a bit simplistic here and there. It was very, you hear people say it's kind of childish, and you're wondering, well, what's childish about a machine gun here? That's not childish. Ah, childish storytelling. So it is going back to the idea of dealing with somebody with a short attention span. And anybody out there that's about to be insulted by this, I feel no disrespect to anybody directly, but you're probably not paying attention right now anyway, so I can probably get away with saying it. Kids, if you watch a toddler or a 5-year-old run around, attention spans are short, but they're short because you're little. We're supposed to have longer attention spans as we get older. And I'm a bit creeped out by the idea that people are going to pander to shorter attention spans. Or is it the other way around? Is it chicken or egg here? Are these short attention spans being created by this, or is it a result of this? I think there's enough blame to go around for everybody, probably.
Well, yeah, no, it's a very interesting story. Like, why did this come about? Essentially, why is it that suddenly it's so important to streaming services to essentially adhere to the second screen kind of mentality, and like, I think I've discussed this. I think it's the rise of the podcast and the reel and the Vine and the short story format and stuff, the short video format. I don't think that like these things have like a negative impact. I think it's the fact is that by TV show streaming platforms are essentially trying to make themselves more like that, as in make parts really clippable. You know, that's the thing. Because if you're essentially watching a TV show or movie on their second screen, then you need to be able to kind of clip moments for yourself while you're kind of second screening it. And I think that's what podcasts, the reason I say podcasts, it's because you put a podcast on and you kind of leave your device while you do something else. I think we've become so used to it that like we do it with streaming shows, and I do it for movies and TV shows that I know very well, like The West Wing and pretty much anything from Andy Sorkin. I've watched it so much. And movies, Moneyball and The Big Short as well are things that I go to as my second screen stuff. But it's because I've watched that with my full attention on it. I know it, kind of thing, really well. I would never do it to a new movie or anything like that, or a new TV show. I want to give it my full attention. But I think the podcasts have had an element of that where like people put something on and then they go to do something else. And then the reels and short things, I think it's just streaming services are trying to be clippable kind of thing.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so they've seen the popularity of something and they're chasing that. I absolutely get the point. And with podcasts, I do, I think the popularity of podcasts is because people are doing things and you can throw on a podcast. To just take a small aside there, I think the effect that that's had is in the YouTube space, where people are making video and a lot of people are treating them like they're just audio, which is why a lot of video based YouTube channels have ended up kind of going, well, yeah, can actually just listen to us on Spotify and not watch us at all, depending on what they do. And it could apply to us sometimes. Sometimes our visuals are much more important than others. I get that. That's a whole separate thing. I guess the direction I would come at it is slightly different, because I think this goes back further. I think Vines and Shorts and TikTok and Musically and everything that predated TikTok. I think short form and Instagram and the constant scroll and the small hits, that's a symptom of what was a shortening attention span. And I think it started way back and it's funny that we should be talking about streaming. It started way back when people had more access to more content. And I think there's a generational shift now with and let's take music as a good example. Back in the day, you had to go out, buy an album. You had to go to a friend's house, listen to an album. An album was an expensive thing.
Mm.
Now, Spotify, you have all music ever for a small price or even free. So this idea that if you're not into a song, you'll skip it.
Mhm.
It's kind of become that way with TVs, movies, etc. If it's not doing something to constantly retain your not just your attention, but give you the joy that you wanted, I think there's a definite generational shift. But I just think more and more people of every generation have been conditioned to say, "Hey, you're going to get what you want, and you're going to keep getting what you want, and you keep getting something new. You're going to keep being entertained. It's going to be constant, or else it's our fault for losing your attention." And the reason I brought music up is some of my favorite albums were ones that I bought and I listened to, and I thought, I can't believe I wasted my £12 or whatever the hell it was at the time on that. And then after 50 listens, after 5 listens, I'm getting into it, I'm understanding it, I'm feeling it, I'm seeing it. There is a definite tidal wave of access. It's why you can't get a kid to sit down in a cinema now, because they get
Yeah.
up and walk around because they're used to at home being able to just pause and see everything again. Do you remember when you were a kid, if Back to the Future came on TV and someone was like changing channels? Like I remember before remotes changing channels,
Yeah.
you would freeze and you're like, oh my God, this thing that I don't own on VHS is on TV. Whatever our plans were, they're changed. I'm sitting down. I know I missed the first 20 minutes, but I'm watching this. Can you imagine anybody doing that now, ever? Because they're going to be like, nah, I can download it, rent it, buy it, stream it, YouTube it, whatever.
Yeah. Funny enough, this is to the point because yeah, it's a difficult thing, and I do think that you're right because I have some charts here that I know that you can't see, but I'll call them out and stuff.
I'll see them in a sec.
The first one is essentially the average screen time based on generation.
Okay.
And as baby boomer, Gen X, millennial, and Gen Z, all it goes up. The amount of average screen time, daily average screen time, is massive. And like this is essentially entertainment value, not
No, work.
like yeah, like I work, 7.5 hours a day. That isn't included in my daily kind of like screen time. And then above, which good, it says essentially from so the one below is from statics or statistics, and the top one is YouGov, um which is essentially where in the world are most likely to second screen with their phone while watching TV. And of course, population kind of the top one is India, and then it's essentially by population kind of thing. But it's still massive kind of like trend essentially of the like screen times and people watching kind of things are going up. So like to your
Yeah.
point of as technology, as content is coming more and more, which gives our screen times and everything like that is definitely going up. It's definitely getting more impactful, and we're getting more used to having a phone and like every single piece of screenery is around, kind of thing. Gonna coin
And
that word, I guess.
inherently, there's nothing necessarily because we could go in a different direction in this video that we won't. But we could talk about whether or not screen time is good or bad for people.
Yes, we
That's a
could.
different day's debate. But in relation to this, in relation to the idea that hey, when you're watching a TV show, let's just use a streaming TV show.
Mhm.
The idea that streamers are saying, hey, make sure your TV show is digestible enough, has enough repetition of plot points that you're not going to lose anybody. Because if you lose them, then they'll stop watching. I would say you've already lost.
Mm.
Because if you've got somebody watching your stuff and you're trying to allow them time to, pick up their phone and, buy that thing that was in the back of their head because something on the screen triggered them and then check back, they're not really watching anyway. You've lost them. You have lost them. And maybe, just maybe, and this is the controversial part, we've got to start realizing that that's okay. Financially, business, I understand that seems like absolute business suicide. No, there's something for everybody, and there's an everybody for something. Maybe you're going to have to work better at getting the right people to your content rather than trying to get just as many random people to your content. Because those ones that you're getting back, if they're that lax about what they're watching, are they going to watch all the way to episode 6, episode 8, episode 10, whatever the run is? I don't think so. I think that's you. The people that you lose are the ones that are not going to watch your whole season anyway.
But also, just to kind of echo that point, also those people are also so like, let's say Stranger Things. When it came out, it
Yeah.
was an absolute phenomenon and stuff like that. But the thing is that it wasn't until people were in a certain distance of the episodes. So like the thing is that if you let's say that episode 3 is kind of where it explodes, okay, kind of thing. It means that you have loads of people watching episode 1, you then dwindle, and it's more likely the kind of people that you're suggesting, like, it's and I am, in the sense that it's people who are just losing the attention span of it. And then when the third episode comes around, you got people who are saying that this is such a great TV show that they're probably coming back and then giving it its full attention because the zeitgeist is now that this is a great show. I hate that fact.
Yeah.
I hate it a little bit. I'm really happy for the popularity of certain TV shows because, like, but I hate the fact that, like, word of mouth and popularity drags people back to the shows. It also makes you question, is the reason why we've gotten why House of Dragons, why Game of Thrones, why Stranger Things and certain shows have just exploded, is it because the writers and producers and stuff ignored the second screen stuff? Is that the reason why these shows, like, it's not, but it's
Like,
probably,
I don't know how influential this second screen, dictate is. If it has a 1% impact, that's too much.
yeah.
But I wonder just if you're established, you're the intellectual, the IP that is Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or whatever it is. They've already come from the past where they were financial juggernauts. They probably get a lot less crap thrown at them.
Mm.
But do the new ones that do well, like how many new, just completely brand new, not based on anything existing, how many new shows get the same chance to find their audience twice?
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah, that's the issue. Um,
Can I have my moment of rage? Anybody who says that they've watched a movie, like, oh yeah, I watched that the other night and I thought it was terrible, and then you go back and see that they sent like 18 tweets during it, you're like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Well, it was no, you didn't, because either you were in it and watching it, or you'd given up a little bit, and then you can say, hey, I watched this thing, kinda, it just wasn't for me. Fine. But if you're going to give a full kind of, oh, this is exactly what I think of it, and you didn't actually give it time or attention, then you've not really watched it. I watched I watched a whole bunch of movies for Harry Potter that I didn't enjoy just because I wanted to be able to give my opinion, and I did pay attention through them all. I watched all of a whole TV show, 6 seasons of it, that is going to get me in trouble for saying I don't like, so I won't even say what season it is or TV show it is. But I knew I didn't like it about 6 or 7 episodes in, and everybody said it's amazing.
Yeah.
Stick with it, you'll get it. I stuck with it all the way to the end, so I could eventually go, yeah, no, it wasn't for me. But I did give it a chance, and I didn't look at my phone once. I didn't spend any time trying to do my taxes, balance my checkbook, or order new hair gel.
Yeah, but like, as I said, it's like we just need to abandon these people for a while. We just need to, as you said, like, as Brew also says in the comments, just write great shows, just write great movies. It will work out. Then it's like, yeah, we agree. It's the fact that it's like we've been talking about the middle ground movies and the middle ground kind of TV shows, that the mid range budget kind of stuff that we want back. The problem is that, as you say, these mid TV shows and mid movie budgets will definitely have producers meddling. And that's
Yeah.
the problem, is when we're trying to go back to like something that had a great legacy of some of the great movies and stuff, some of the most cult classic movies in that kind of grouping, you're now going to have producers that are going to mess with it too much, and we just need to try and move our way self away from it.
And if
Um,
they're not messed with, Paul, they may well end up not being watched by anybody because they were too complex in their opening act. And people were like, nah, it wasn't for me, didn't really pay attention. And then they come back and go, yeah, it was crap, couldn't understand it. Like, well, when you watch it again a second time and you pay full attention, oh, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. So you can write a great show, you can write a great movie. But if half your audience isn't paying attention and then there's still the word of mouth that's pushing people away, your great movie can end up being completely submerged in the sea of content.
Yeah, which is yeah, that like that's the other thing. Right, when we come back from the break, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about where the problem lies. Is it us, the viewers, or is it them, the streaming services and platforms moving forward? So join us after the break, which is as we talk more about the second screening blight, second screening plague, second
The
screening
awfulness of it all.
apocalypse. All right. See you in a couple of minutes. Seconds.
Well, Paul, I got to say, the rage is deep within me because I am, and I know I'm a very specific case on being anti the multi-screen thing.
Mhm.
I'm fine if it's your business. If you want to, half watch something because you're not that into it, that's cool. I think we've all done that. But you just admit that you're not that into it and don't pretend like you've given it all the best chance in the world. However, we're about to move on to the what the hell of it all. What's next?
Yeah, like this thing is so is this a propagation essentially by the studios and streaming services to do this kind of thing, as in they know that they're not going to get our full attention, so they're just pumping out TV shows essentially for this demographic, let's say the second screeners demographic. Like the is that what they're? Do you think that's what they're doing now? In like obviously there's going to be movies that they want to make and TV shows that they want to make, but are they now making also because Netflix, for example, has promised us a certain amount of TV shows and movies per year. Are
Yeah.
they now filling the gap essentially with these second screen kind of pieces of content, um, which is kind of bringing the tone down for everybody else?
So are they making good enough shows knowing that people it's a good enough marketing ploy that it'll get people to watch it, but it's also going to be kind of dumbed down enough that it'll just keep them going like some sort of um gray food feeding tube. Um I don't think so, and I hope not. I
Mm.
actually think the problem with quality, don't get me wrong, this could be some part of it, but I don't think it's the major part of it. I really do think that that's down to streamers wanting to try and find a business model that works for them. And in the case of Netflix, they already have. They're trying as hard as they can to hold on, make sure that they're associated with new content. What have you done for me lately so that you don't go and change your platform? So when something like second screening comes up in a boardroom on, on the white flipboard with the stats on here's how many people and here's how we think we can stop losing, we're losing this percentile at this point in these shows. This is a point where I think we'll either use nudity explosions or whatever, or that kind of stuff. Yeah. Do I think that's ruining the creative process? Yeah, I really do. And I think that's what's killing. Um, it's killing the thing that everybody says they want. The only people really to blame for this is us. It's all of us. Um, and I think Brian is pointing it out right now. I'm live tweeting right now. Yeah, YouTube's a bit of a different story, and particularly live streams.
Yeah.
But Brian also says the problem is us, the viewers. Distractions are a major discussion in mental health. Yeah, it is us. It's a society of us, though. I'm
Mhm.
not saying it's me or you or any particular generation. I think societally we've stopped holding ourselves to account as to whether or not we're really getting what we deserve? And I mean that in the reverse. Like, are we really just getting what we deserve? Because everybody's pissed off their sequels. We covered it. Everybody's going to sequels. Everybody's annoyed that there's X, Y, or Z. Everybody's paying for X, Y, or Z. So yeah, I'm mad at business for so many things, but you can only be mad at them for so long when we keep playing into their hands.
So you feel that the downturn in quality um is a symptom of the attention span of the viewer. So essentially a streaming service is going, we need to make this second screen enough because our viewers are just not paying attention long enough, kind of thing.
I think they're being. I just don't think. I don't think it contributes to the drop in quality more than 1/100%. But yeah, to pick which side of the seesaw I'm on that, yeah, I think it is the fact that they probably are right that they're losing viewers at certain points because people are distracted by other things. Now, do I think they should do anything about that? No, I think that should be ignored. Do I think they're doing a lot about it? No, I think it would be an excuse that they would grab with both hands if they could and go, "This is why we keep pumping out subpar stuff." I think there are about 1,000 more reasons than this that's actually causing that dip in quality.
But you feel that it's a factor rather than an overall like
I
as
feel
in
it
it.
exists. I don't think it's tipping the scale that hard. I think they've got bigger problems that are actually causing it.
Yeah, I
But
get that.
I am disgusted that it's one of the many factors that they're having to think of now.
Yeah, it's just I think from a creator standpoint, I think my issue with the or what I think is a streaming platform's problem or issue is them specifically like going to creators and going, this isn't screen, like, as that clip says,
Oh
going
yeah.
to creators and going, this isn't second screen enough, and that crushes the soul of a creator kind of thing, which then means that like I think that kind of instills itself into the overall because like yes, there's plenty of
Do you
factors.
think this is happening often, honestly, other than that one report? Do you think that this, like, I'll ask you the question in reverse. Do you actually think that this is one of the factors that's caused, like, as in a significant factor in what's been causing the dip in quality
Yeah, I do. I
across the
think
services?
I think it's in a band. I think it's a band of certain TV shows and movies that are being made by streaming services. I think that's where it's been more effective than it is on other things. I think like Lord of the Rings is not getting effect, as you said. Lord of the Rings, big names content, like big named IPs, are not getting affected by this. But like,
Yeah.
I do think that there's a band of new content or kind of new IPs that are getting this kind of condition, in the sense that like that they're just getting kind of like talked to at the start, going like, listen, we need to fill a quota about a certain amount of TV shows and stuff like that. So do get an understanding that you are not one of the big ones. We want you to build what you want, but understand that we're expecting our viewers to half watch you. You know,
Well,
and like, so what you should do when you're kind of playing to that is you should repeat your plot points a lot more, and you should. And I think it's this specific band is where, and I think this is the way the largest quantity of content is coming from. That's where we're seeing essentially everybody's fatigue about like not great quality content.
mhm.
I think because like if we have like the top tier stuff is not being affected by it because it's already got brand recognition somehow, or
It's got
uh,
something to keep it safe, be it a
yeah,
star or existing, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. But this so like, but that's a small crop of content, and I think this majority is where people have the complaint about
Well, I
kind of
guess
thing.
technically, you mentioned from a creator's point of view. I guess technically I'm a creator too, Paul. So I can get, I like absolutely understand how crushing it must be for people to hear these things. I just think that is one of so many dumb things they hear in that sentence. Even in that band, I'm sure they're getting hit by, you know what else is really popular right now? Or do you know what else? Like I cannot emphasize how much I believe there to be dumb people in the wrong positions.
Oh
who
yeah.
are messing with the wrong things. But yeah, absolutely. Like, should this exist? No. Is it having an effect? Yeah. How much of an effect? I would hate to give them an out and say something like this, because then they will be able to blame the user. They'll be able to blame everyone. But it's bad business to mess with your creators. I think to separate that side of the discussion from the responsibility that we all need to take,
Oh
yeah, there's blame on both sides. I would just hate to give them the out of saying, well, we're just making what people are doing to us, really.
yeah. Let me get it straight. I do think that the viewer is the majority of the problem. I do think, but I think what's happening is that I think that it's essentially being perpetuated slowly into the industry by
Oh
kind
yeah,
of by viewer kind of attention spans. So I think that's my problem is that it's like it's a self-eating or
oh yeah,
self-fulfilling
yeah.
prophecy
That's,
now kind of
that's
thing.
it.
Where I do believe that it started with the viewer, and I think now it's essentially becoming an issue within the industry too much, kind of thing. Because I do get your point that they're probably bombarded with like budgety problems and I want this and want that kind of thing and make it more like this. But I think the hardest, I think for me as a creator, if I was like I can deal with I want a giant mechanical spider in my content or in the movie, and I could like fob that off or just be like, sure, fine, you're paying the bill, we'll get it in there kind of thing. But if someone came to me and went, "Yeah, we're not really expecting someone like people to watch you 100% of the time," they're going to be like, they're going to have you on a second screen while they're looking at their phone or reading a newspaper, or doing something else, kind of thing. I
Well,
think
you're
as
going
a
to be on the main
creator,
screen. They're going to be looking at a second screen.
yeah,
So you're still the main screen in this scenario.
but I think it
It's that they'll
hurts
be
me.
distracted by other things. Oh, of course.
I think as a creator, that would dent me more than I need a giant mechanical spider in this movie, kind of thing, and I'm fitting the bill. Or we have to cut that
Fair enough.
scene because we don't have the budget. Someone come to me and go, yeah, your stuff is already being seen as not great because we just need that's where I think it hurts a lot more, and then that filters into the creative process because as a director or as a creator, if I already know that the content isn't meant to be driven towards high tier kind of attention spans, then why the hell would I put in so much effort, kind of thing. That's where where I think from the studio side is the biggest problem there that they're having. But from the
So
viewer side, the attention span is just too short and we need to take responsibility and actually focus.
So what do you think can be done? What do you think the remedy for this is if it's having the significant effect, then if nothing changes, we're in a downward spiral. Um, that's not good. Is there any way to pull up out of that downward spiral?
I think that everybody like I think that the band of movie or TV shows just needs to learn the fact is that, as you say, they're going to find the audience. Either half the amount of TV shows that you're making, or reduce the quantity that you're currently trying to churn out, and just start focusing on making good content. That's the best way to do it because, as you say, we're on a downward spiral, and the only way that this spiral ends, the only place that this ends, is essentially reality TV
Hmm.
because it's something that you don't have to pay attention to fully. You know, um, that's my worry is that essentially we're getting down to if content creators, producers, and studios don't realize that they need to pull up and just be like, let's just make it the way we want to,
Yeah.
um, that we're in a bad place. Where Big Brother's
Yeah, and
gonna
I
be
think
like,
and Brian says there is no remedy. People will not adjust. And you mentioned reality TV. I think it's actually the perfect example of um, people don't ignore it. And their reality TV is an extension of the idea of make sure that we scripted reality, because let's face it, the reality TV is called documentary usually. But reality TV is mostly scripted at this stage. Everybody knows that. And it is because it's a big candy machine that just keeps feeding sweets. It keeps feeding sugar. And that's fine. I'm not going to judge it for it. But it's gone the other way already of, yeah, we're going to have to keep people's attention, because if this became boring for even a moment, I wouldn't watch it. Like, I don't think the people making it are thinking, oh, well, I'm really trying to get a message across here anymore. I think a lot of sensationalist reality TV is like, keep it exciting, keep the monkey banging the cymbals together, because the minute we stop with our salacious fanfare, people are gonna disappear. So yeah, if that's where we're headed, then we're in a lot of trouble. I think there's a couple of simple solutions. I don't know business wise. I don't know if you can just tell people make better stuff,
Well, like
because
it's
that is a solution for sure.
sorry, I don't think it's. Oh, wait,
Urge.
sorry, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Um, yeah, I
Go.
get your point, and I can't like it's very don't think about it kind of like advice that I'm giving. I'm more saying that like take away as many barriers as you possibly can for creatives to make the show that they want. I think that's more of my what I would like
Oh,
to
for
say
sure.
kind of thing is to remove as many barriers. But I do think that yeah, I would like to hear what your solutions on the business side kind of thing, because on the viewer side it's just cop on and watch the thing you like, if you don't like it, move on to something else that you will actually will pay attention and like, you know.
Yeah. And just the business side of it is you're already trying to make the best stuff you can. Um, you would hope, but you're always trying to make it in a way that you can keep your company profitable and keep going. So yeah, stay the hell out of the creators' ways is it's a good idea. Making less content, and Brian's nailed it. I think changing your financial model to, instead of casting a wider net and trying to catch everything, support lower cost content, because that's where you'll find people that will train and learn and create and identify themselves as people with a voice, people with a vision that you can then give more money to next time. Stop just trying to farm the same exact mine all the time. Stop digging in the same hole, going, hey, let's give Zack Snyder $17 billion to make whatever that most recent thing was. Let's maybe split this out. We'll rework our financial model. They're not going to be able to not keep casting the net wide because everybody else is going to keep doing it. But maybe change the strata on how you're casting that net. So get back to more reasonable budgets where you can take risks, and where things fail, don't make that the end of the line for somebody if they showed promise.
Yeah.
Give them another chance in the right place. If somebody showed that they have no respect for your budget or their craft, then they get sidelined too. Not everybody's going to be a winner. Um, I think I think the business and the art can coexist.
Yeah.
I just think that it's gotten lost completely.
I do think that it's more become a business, as in like that's the shift. Is like it's more kind of people have forgotten where they've gotten came from and gotten to. They're storytellers, They're storytellers. That's
Yeah.
what the primary thing that we should think about. As for the viewers, I just think we need to get better as essentially kind of better at engaging, better finding, like looking for the content that we actually want to view and stuff, and not be afraid. Because like I love The Big Bang Theory. Not gonna lie, not a guilty pleasure, people. It's an actual thing I like, you know. And like I think people just need to, and I think we've talked about it before, need to like things unironically. I think people need to get back
Yeah.
to that kind of like, so just like the things you like, and just enjoy
Yeah.
it, because that's how the attention spans will continue, how you will keep going on those things.
Be the good word of mouth. Stop being the word of mouth. It's like, I didn't like the title of this and I knew I was going to hate it before I even watched it. Then I half watched it, hated it, and told everybody it was crap. Okay. Maybe you didn't pass anything useful on to anybody there. If you watch something and you'd be predisposed to liking it and you didn't come in with an expectation that it should be something else, which is something we've brought up a lot. So yeah, maybe we all just need to be the change where it's not just talking about things you like, you can still talk about things you don't, but maybe don't seek things out to be negative about, or at least be honest and go, yeah, I was never going to like that anyway. So maybe try it yourself. It might be for you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I
Oh, I
definitely agree.
lost you. Oh, gotcha.
I definitely agree with those points, kind of thing. I do think, like, just for example, just because we're running out of time. For example, Apple TV have focused on just quality content. Ted Lasso Foundation, like, they've just continued to put out banger after banger, and they're focusing on quality, and they've just brought loads of shit. Like Foundation's not for everybody, but the audience that are there are massive. So it's like you're making quality and you're finding your audience, and that's the model that you should really kind of go into. And I'm really surprised that it's Apple TV that we're talking about in this kind of context. I really thought, like ages ago, I thought Netflix would be the place that would show you the weird, you know, and now it's just Netflix. We're just the middle. Like,
Well, yeah, our race to the middle is complete.
yeah. So, we must go back to some of the streaming services to talk about what they are. Maybe put personalities to them or something like that.
This is true.
Thanks very much for watching. We have 2 questions for you this time, which we would love you to comment down below. Which goes, if you have any kind of second content, what is it? Is it old stuff, new stuff? What's like? Why are you second screening this stuff? Kind of thing. Is our attention spans getting shorter? And what do you think we should do about it as well? Just the questions that we've asked ourselves, essentially. Anything you want to add?
Let us know your thoughts. No, I just want to hear from the people out there at home. And yeah, no judgment on anybody. Live your life your way. But let's all hope that we can be part of a change that lets the greedy money people know they can still have our money. They just make good content.
Yeah. So, on that note, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, do all the YouTubey things, and we'll catch you next time. I've been Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been Hear Us Out.
See you next time.
See you on another screen, I guess.